He's an educator, poet, painter, and all-around creative guy. We'd like to welcome Wesley Moore, author of the new book, Today, Oh Boy, expected to be released at the end of the month. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Born and raised in South Carolina, your career started off as a teacher, is that right?
Yeah, well, I was literally born in Somerville and went to Somerville schools, and then went to graduate school, dropped out, got married, moved to Charleston, and started writing. And I was publishing short stories and poems, and then my late wife got pregnant, and she wanted to stay home with the baby.
So that changes things, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But over the years, you always just had a very creative spirit about you.
Yes. I've been writing since the 4th grade, and but this art thing is sort of new.
I know, and I want to talk about that because we want to talk about your book, Today, Oh Boy. And if those words sound familiar, those are lyrics sung by a very famous band. But what's the subject of your new book?
Okay, it takes place in one day in 1970 in Somerville, South Carolina. And most of the characters are high school students. The first 3 chapters take place at Somerville High, but a chemistry lab experiment goes wrong, and the entire school has to be let out. And to quote the English poet of the 17th century, John Milton, all hell breaks loose.
Well, it sounds like a fun book. When did you decide you wanted to write a book? After writing poems and blogs and spoken word, you have a little mini podcast on your website as well.
Yeah. This novel came to me, I had read Joyce's Ulysses, or listened to it, which sounds highfalutin, but I thought it'd be fun to do a comic novel that took place in a sort of relatively small space with lots of characters interacting. And I wrote it very easily. It was almost as if I were getting on a raft and drifting down a river, and when I knew what was going to happen next, I got off the raft, and I had it written about 3 or 4 months.
So this being your first book, has the bug bitten you? Are you planning on writing more books after this?
Well, I'm 70 years old, so
70 years young.
70 years, but yes, Caroline, my wife, and I were talking about my next project when we were driving up here.
Speaking of projects, so tell us more about this painting.
I call these fake paintings. It's a photograph taken at Chico Feo in Folly Beach. We live at Folly Beach, a high-resolution photograph, and then I cut these Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, and Janis out of from the internet, paste them onto the photograph, then put a filter on it to make it look like a painting, then have it printed on canvas.
Who's this pretty lady in the doorway?
That's my wife, Caroline.
That's what I thought.
Who's, by the way, a professional editor.
And
well,
really
that
helps.
Yes.
That definitely helps. So why make fake paintings? What is it about?
Well, I started it
this
with
medium that you enjoy?
With my blog, I used to create Photoshop to illustrate the blog, and then I was in Asheville and I saw that people had these things hanging on the walls of restaurants. I said, man, I could do that.
It's a very surreal take. I like that.
Well, you know, interestingly, these two died within a month of each other, the year the novel is set.
Oh, and they were so young too, right? Just out of high school. I mean, it was all very. It all really comes together in your story, and folks can actually pre-order that book right now. It's going to be officially released. People can buy it at Buxton Books at the end of the month. I want to thank you again for joining us, Wesley.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Congratulations on your book.
Thank you.
We're back after this.